What is up? How's it going? It's Thursday night. We're gonna do some helloing, some humaning. Gonna be hanging out with my homeboy Javier Sinobas right now. Look at him, he's such a professional. Right on time. What's this one? How do I do the invite? Javier, how do I do the invite? Hold on. I never remember how to... There we go. There we go. It's fine. Click it, you little. Invite to join. Javier. I'm clicking on you. There we go. Sinobas. Javier, it says you must upgrade your app in order to join. Phone's hating on you. Let's see. Will it do it if I do that? Now it's letting me message you. Yeah, it's not letting me invite you in, Javi. Slight technical difficulties, folks. Hang with us. Not run into that one before. Good old technology, you know. Start upgrading stuff. If you're not keeping your software up to date, it's just giving you the shaft. It's the audio world. Does anybody else deal with that? Like at work? How many times a day do you get the Adobe Flash Player upgrade notice? Oh yeah, there it goes. Go live. Amp. See, that wasn't so bad. That didn't take long. He's so smooth. Look at you.
Dude, so embarrassed.
Hey, look at it though. Look at how it made the cool little frames around our faces.
Oh yeah, you're right. It does look different.
So,
Nice.
So thanks for joining me.
No, dude, are you kidding me? Thank you. This is awesome.
You know, for anybody that didn't catch the interview that you did with me back in, was that February?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. That was the impetus of what made this show happen. And I remember telling you about that afterwards. It was like, oh, I think I'm going to just do it. Hey man, can I pick your brain about like having a podcast? And you're like, yeah, it's a pain in the ass if you're doing it like and trying to cut up your audio. And it was great because I took all of your advice and I was like, I'm pretty fast at editing though. So if that's the worst part, I can do that.
So do you find it easy?
It's not so bad. No, I'm such a fast editor. I think it's from all the years of being of doing drums and Pro Tools and like having to chop up performances where stuff was like recorded subpar, or we did like a lot of live rehearsal recordings. So there was always like little things to like chop up. So I just got super fast at editing. So it's like that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm not fast at all. As a matter of fact, that was just the largest pain in my neck. It was the fact that I was like, I had to grab the audio and like, fish the good stuff. It was too much for me, man. But I'm glad it's working out for you.
Dude, you know what too? It's hard if like the first episode, for whatever reason, Pamela and I were just like, we don't need headphones. We're just going to talk like we do on FaceTime. And that was the hardest episode to edit because the audio was all like messy. So that, the first one, you learn.
I left my headphones in the office and I remember vividly when I drove here and I got to my house and I was like, oh, I left the headphones. That's going to come back and haunt me.
Yeah. It'll be okay though. It sounds good in my ears, so I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, you sound great too. I mean, I actually stopped using headphones for mine Because my ears get pretty hot. So I'm just, you know
Yeah.
what, leave it alone.
If you're not chopping it down, it's not worth it. It's way more
Right.
comfortable to not have them. And I always wonder, like, what we're going to find out in 30 years about what Bluetooth does to our
Oh,
brains. But
there's
right
right.
now, yeah, I mean, right now I love it, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Me too. Me too.
So you know what I was thinking about as I was like kind of getting prepped for the show? I was thinking how I have so many people that I've met in life that are a little bit younger than me, and they kind of feel like a younger brother or younger sister. But like, you really feel like a big brother to me because you're like, I'm like, Javier, I don't remember how to make you go live. But now I'm gonna blame it on the app. Now I think the app
Right.
updated and it was in a different place. So thanks for
Right.
being
Well,
a great new big brother.
well, thank you. I'm telling you, man. Like I was talking to Wick about you the other night. We well, actually a couple. When was it? 2 nights ago? He stopped by because I was. We were talking about some of the new cabinets that I'm putting together, and so he's actually going to start building for us. So
I heard.
and he is so good. He's so much better than I am. It's crazy. It's like he's done like first one. I'm like showing him, and he goes he does one, and I'm like shit. He's way better than I am. I mean he's a luthier. Like he's
Right.
legit. So whatever we're talking about that, I was like, dude, like Sarah is one of those humans that I like. If there was like an instant connection. Like I
Yeah.
don't. I've never seen you in person, and
I
I'm like.
know.
I feel like if she ever comes over here, I'm just gonna give her the biggest hug, and I'm like, this
Dude,
chick is
yeah.
legit.
I'm so into that. That's the way I felt too. And I feel like so Wick is a mutual friend of ours was my bass player for I mean, he's still my bass player. We just don't live in the same state and don't make music together, but he'll always be my bass player. But that's how he knows Javier. Javier is the owner and founder, creator of Sinobas Amplification, and Wick is one of his artists that plays his gear. So
Really legit, dude.
yeah, good dude. So I figured we should start the episode off the way I originally intended. And what were you doing right before we got on live?
Right now,
Yeah, what were you doing before we got on?
I was literally in front of I'm still in front of my computer, setting, setting it up. Like my tripod is all jacked up. And I was setting it up and looking at my website, actually looking at the orders that I have open and kind of like going through the fulfillment and just working on the website, making it better.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah,
You
such a
gotta
nerd
fit.
right now.
No, that's good stuff. I mean, I feel like I wake up now at like 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, what can I go work on? I got to go edit something for the podcast because right now it's like it's such the beginning stages and there's
Hmm.
just so many different little things that I've got to do like
Yes.
all the time and so yeah, that's what I've been doing. I realized that getting ready for the podcast, I really get ready for a show like the same way I would get if I was about to go be on stage. No small irony. I mean, it's also a show, but yeah, I just like I'm running around. I'm like getting myself all hyped. So yeah, that's what I was doing before we
I
got
can,
on.
that's funny. I used to get all like that too. It was like come up here and be like, tell the girls, I got an interview in 5 minutes. Be quiet. You know, it's like it was hilarious. And they're like, okay, whatever. By the time that we got to like the third one, they kind of knew the drill. But yeah, I'm with you. Like I get like the lights gotta be right. So I sit in front of it, I turn on the camera and I'm like, hey, so the right, like how's my bald spot? Like can people like all that stuff. And
I'm like, is my hair sticking to my neck? Tanya always calls me out on that. She'll get in the chat. She'll be like, get that hair off your neck.
yeah, I don't. You
So
know, I wish I had that problem, but I don't. I don't.
it's
That's
been a little while, huh?
it. All I did was wake up at 38. That's all I did. You know, I don't know what happened. Like by the time I woke up, I was 38. I started noticing. I'm like, wait a second, and then like it went from there like that. And I'm like, what happened? I used to have like George Tamus hair, but not
Nice.
anymore.
Yeah, it's so weird how that kind of stuff just happens. Like I finally just started noticing like I've got like a couple gray hairs here and I'm like, it's fine. I got long hair, who cares? And it's like the forehead gets a little more pronounced. It's like, oh, I guess it just happens. It's like your kids growing up. It's like
Right.
they're not like 13 tomorrow.
No.
unless it's their birthday. But like, it like thankfully most change in life is pretty gradual. So
It is for me. What for me it was like, I have a little bit of bonus here, and then just went, and it just didn't stop. And I thought it was, I don't know, like people keep saying, no, it comes from your mom's side. It's BS.
yeah.
My grandfather had more hair than will to live, and he died at 93. So I'm like, I don't know. Either he's not my mom's dad or something's fishy.
There's some deep, dark Sinobas family secret.
Yeah, that's a funny question. I will never know the answer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Took it to his grave if it's not true. You're like, oh, but aren't you supposed to be bald? I'm bald.
Right. Like, I don't know where that comes from, but maybe stress. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? So, what do you think has been one of the more stressful things for you with starting a business? Because I mean, Sinobas is actually still fairly new. So,
Very new.
what was some of the because we all know that in theory, starting a business is going to be stressful. It's going to be wild. So, what was something that surprised you that was kind of stressful about starting a business, doing something that you love?
I think it was more just getting over my bullshit and get over my all the reasons that I was finding to not do it.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
right. Oh yeah.
Because I'm such a cautious person. I'm very cautious, particularly when it comes about money and time.
Yeah.
I'm very cautious. I got two little daughters and my wife and I, so it's the four of us, and it's that was stressful as far as like how am I gonna make this work, and then I'm telling you, man, like that once I got over that fear, it's been a lot, very rewarding to see how other people, like the people around me, how they respond to my um relentless optimism,
Right.
so because not everybody is like that. I painfully had to discover that. Yeah, I'm like I get
Truly.
excited. I was like, yeah, why work until midnight? No big deal, let's do it. Not
Right.
everybody's like that.
No, no, no.
you know
And that's like the hard thing too when you're the boss and you're like setting the pace of everything. But
hmm
that's so interesting to hear that that's exactly I think that that's the thing that more people deal with
hmm
than any of us realize is just having to get out of our own damn way. I mean,
hmm
that was my big resistance and it's something that I just constantly have to like chip away at and find the balance between am I procrastinating this because I'm feeling scared, because I'm feeling unsure? Like, when am I just pushing it off? And when is it not the right time for something?
right.
Because there's also a beauty in like waiting for that right moment and the right
hmm
idea. And so, how do you find a balance between that?
um I don't not any I don't feel that not such a there's not such thing right now, at least, that I'm like it's not the right time. But
Right.
I know what you're talking about because it has been. So just getting old also, and going through, like, last year was really, really a very rough year. And the last 5 years been pretty rough, as far as like growing up and realizing that, your parents are gone, like either, like all
Yep.
these changes, that all the blank security thing that you grow up with, and just having some backbone that is not necessarily your own kind of deal. All those changes kind of have been um, kind of making it easier for me to sit down and wait for the things that are the
Right.
right time. But it's funny, like after I started this, there's only been, no, I'm lying. No, there has been a couple of times that I said that's not quite yet. Like the first year was really rough
Yeah.
because I needed to make sure that what products we put out were very different in many ways, not just one.
Right.
So I kind of wrestled with the go live kind of deal, like go to market now, or sit down and wait one more iteration. And I found myself into making more iterations and more iterations until, but you know what, at the same time, it's like, I'm glad I did it.
Right.
Because once we got to that that iteration, that when I looked at the product, my wife is she's been very very involved with this from the beginning, from the moral support and mental support more than anything. You know, she's not a cabinet maker or anything like that. She's not a musician, but she's a great question asker. You know what I mean? Like, she asks really good questions. And the moment I think that I knew that I was getting really close to being ready, when she said, that looks just like the ones that are on the store. And I was like, okay. Like that, for her, that she's completely oblivious to this crap, to realize that, okay, this is like high quality, legit stuff. That to me, I was like, okay, good. We start feeling, I don't know if it's like the fact that I always seek the approval of my spouse for some dumbass reason.
I don't think that's dumb at all, dude. There are 3 people in the world that I want to impress: my wife Tanya and my 2 kids. That's it. That's
Same
the
here.
only people that I care about impressing. And like, I feel the same thing, that Tanya's I call her the co-producer, because she's the one that I just talked to about all of the ideas that I'm having. You know, I have other friends that I talk to as well, because, you know, my friend Alyssa, who's a really great graphic designer, my creative partner Pamela, who was on the first episode, I talked to Pamela about a lot of stuff. And Silas, who was on the second episode, I talked to him. I've talked to you. So there's still like the community that I touch in, you know, all of my people. But at the end of the day, the only person, the only adult that matters to me, if they think I'm cool and I'm doing something worthwhile and important, is my wife, because she knows me like no one else knows me. And it's the same with you and your wife, hands down.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then I'm a constant seeker of that validation, you know. And I've had to learn to also trust my own validation, you know. That's something that, you know, it took me, you know, 30 some years to really. You still got it, babe. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh shit, girl.
Yeah, don't let me get in the way of something magical.
You are a good big brother.
So yeah, I mean, that happened then. Like, that was one that I was like, oh, okay, so I gotta stop. But now it's time, and being able to identify, okay, that was time. The other one that I think that just hits my mind is when we launched the cable line. You know, it just, the way that it happened and how it happened, it was almost like okay, that was a mature decision. You know, it was like, first I was like, okay, that was a good mature decision. So I think I think time and being older, age, I think has helped me. You know, what I'm amazed is that there's people out there that are like 24 years old and they make some excellent decisions. That when I was 24, I'm like, I wasn't thinking about any of this.
Yeah, I have run into the same thing, because I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at trusting my instincts and trusting myself. And that's really the work, right? Is like working to trust yourself. And as I look out and I see these musicians and stuff like that, because like you said, there's some of them that are in their mid-20s killing it. Yeah. And I recently had the experience of going back and mixing this old record that Wick and I had done. And it's 14 years ago. And it was so interesting, because it's about the age that so many of these artists that I dig are, you know, like 26, 27. And just as I'm working on it, just trusting the tones that we had and trusting all of that. And it's like, wow, like I look back at myself and go, oh, I was just a kid. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I really did have a good head on my shoulders, and we really did kind of know what we were doing. So I don't know, man, your 27-year-old self probably wasn't that bad.
No, I mean, I'm pretty hard on myself, but like I see the people at that age that are doing what I am doing today, and I'm like, wow, it's pretty impressive. But I'm sure they'll go through the same iterations in their life where they'll get to be 40 and they'll look back and be like, man, I didn't know I was doing 26, or like,
Yeah.
it's reinvention is it's just another part of what we do. We do it several times in our lifetime. So
Oh my
yeah,
God. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
go ahead.
you go.
No, you go. You go.
I was just gonna say that that's like such a backbone of this show is kind of the labels that we put on
Hmm.
and then the labels that we take off throughout life, because some of those labels get put on us and some we put on ourselves.
Hmm.
And what do you think have been some of the labels that you kind of brushed off over the last few years?
Right. Wow. Yeah, a lot. That I think so. I'm originally from Venezuela, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not from here, and I get reminded daily that I'm not from
Right.
here, in sometimes friendly ways and sometimes subtle ways, but there's always something that is, it's a differentiator, which, when you're an immigrant, you kind of learn how to live with it, and you still appreciate the good things about the other person, and you learn to put emphasis on the things are like the things that you won't put up with, and the things that you're like, okay, it is the same, it's okay.
Yeah.
um so, but coming here and being able to um do like do college,
Mm-hmm.
that was huge for me because none of my parents went to college. They very well read people,
Right.
super smart people. They just, because of their situation, they just had to stop school and go to work. So, but I they projected unwillingly, like they were not willing to do so, but like, I mean, they did not know they were doing this, but they're projecting so much of their own BS on how hard college is and how hard higher education is, and it's only for certain people that are like super bright, and like, like having to. And then I realized it's like it's bullshit. All you have to do is spend the time reading the damn book that another human being wrote, and
Right.
then do it again. Like it's
Right.
just that's all there is. So when I went to engineering school, it was like, oh my God, it's like this is gonna be so hard, and it's gonna be so. And I was just like, just freaking myself out of somebody else's fear instead of like understanding, that's their fear, and just because they're afraid of it doesn't mean they have to be. So that you can't be this kind of thing.
Right.
That was one that I'm glad it took me a long time. Like it took about
Right.
a long time. It took me a long time, but I was able to do that for sure.
That's awesome. And that's such a powerful thing that you're saying about, getting away from someone else's fear that they're projecting on you. Because I feel like even well meaningly,
Mm-hmm.
our parents, our grandparents, the people in our lives do that to us. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even something that it's easier to combat it as an adult because you're rooted in your own self a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
But just having to deal with that fear, I mean, that's something that I try to really keep in mind when I'm talking to my kids, even. And, I don't
Right.
want to make them afraid to climb on top of something that is totally within their capacity because I'm like, oh God,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, don't fall, you're four, So that's
No,
really powerful stuff, man.
well, thanks. That's it took several $100s of therapy to get to that point. So because it is like what is it called? Is um codependency kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you seek so much validation on some things, and particularly those people are like super important in your life. So you're like, well, my parents said that this was going to be impossible, so therefore it should be impossible. And then you realize that they were human beings just like you are, and they were afraid of stuff just like you are. So yeah, actually I was talking about that with my wife yesterday. We have, so Isabella, she's 11, and Ariana is 8, and Bella is in Taekwondo, and Ariana is in soccer, and they both love it.
Mm-hmm.
And Bella is I understand that she needs her own space.
Mm-hmm.
Like me standing there looking at her do Taekwondo, I will only do it if she asks me to. But I
Right.
know her so well that I know that she's going to look for my approval every move. And it's going to stress her out. And the last thing I mean, she needs to be able to fail
Right.
without feel that she's disappointing me. And I was like, you want me to stay? And she's like, yeah, Dad, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So she gets on the mat and they're doing all the, bowing and all that stuff. And I'm telling her, pay attention, you got to bow. And she's like, I think you should go.
Good on her. You
So
know what? How proud of were you in that moment?
I was very proud.
Yeah.
I was proud of two things. One, that she has the good relationship with me to let me know. I'll be like, you should go. It's fine, Dad. And then the other one that I know my chick. I know her.
Right. Yeah.
So, but but I'm sure I'm poisoning them with something else. Like I
Of
know,
course.
that we're gonna we're gonna put something else in their veins. So.
Oh yeah, that it's the adage that I can't think it was a bell hooks thing about being a good enough parent. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
love that so much. How do you think coming to the US as a teenager shaped so much of how you're now parenting?
I was actually a 23-year-old.
Oh, 23.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
I went to my family is from Spain, but I was born in Venezuela, and so my dad is from Spain. My mom's family is from Spain, but she's from Venezuela. She was from Venezuela. She passed a few years ago. But so when things got really weird in Venezuela after 1998, um, we just went. Well, I mean, we went back to Spain basically, and while I was in Spain, I was living the dream because I was a bartender and I have the perfect personality
Oh
to
yeah.
work at a bar. And
Yeah.
it was perfect. It was the best job I've ever had. It was tremendous. And I was in my sauce. So I met this gorgeous American student that I was like, there's just no way this chick's gonna talk to me. And so we just get married. So so we just got married and I came here. I mean, I came here to the US. So that's how I ended up here.
Wait, that's your wife?
Mhm.
Your wife? Stop. You can't
Yeah.
just like drop that. So your
Yeah.
wife was the American student that you met bartending at your favorite job when you were
Yeah.
in Spain.
I was living the dream. I was just I'm a I okay. I'm a very talkative individual
Yeah.
and particularly with women. I have no problems talking to women. And and that was an amazing job for that. But then one day, like this group of 23 Americans and one dude come in the restaurant I was working at, the bar I was working at, and I'm like, I start coming in, I'm like hot, not really hot, like that. So,
I mean, that's
and
the way you do it when you're single. I mean, that's just a
listen,
fact.
when you're 22 and living the dream, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so then I get to this beautiful, like stunning, like she was stunning, right? And I just see her and I'm like, holy crap, like who's that chick? But she's not gonna, why would she talk to me? Like, there's no way she's gonna talk to me. So I ended up hooking up with her best friend, who she was good looking. I mean, she was not bad looking. But whatever, we're 22, 21, whatever.
Yeah.
And then one day, this is so shallow. I hate it.
I'm
One day
loving it.
we're in this beautiful beach, northern Spain. It's like you can't mess it up. If you cannot seal the deal there, you have no game. Like there's
Right.
no
Right.
game.
Right.
There's nothing for you to do. So just might as well just don't do anything. So she said, my wife's name is Annie. And she goes, Annie's gonna hate me. And I was like, what? Hold on a second. What? Why is she gonna hate you? She said, well, she has a huge crush on you. And not quickly, but very slowly, I said, listen, it's kind of late. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been fun. This has been great.
I gotta
And
go.
I kid you not, like the very next day, I was like, "Hey, let's hang out," and it just we hung out every day, and it was the best. It was the best. Like I've never been in a relationship like that ever before, and I was like, I mean, this is the way it should be. And 17 years later, here we go.
Dude, that is the best. I can't even tell you how much I love that story. When Tanya and I had met, I mean, duh, I was single. But I'd been talking to a few ladies and had been
Mhm.
kicking it with some ladies. And I remember like specifically telling one of them like, yeah, I'm not really like looking to be in a relationship because like my mom was sick and then like died like all at the same time. So it's like, yeah, I'm not really looking to be in a relationship. I was back home for 2 days and had sat down figuring like, oh, I'm gonna chat up some girls on OkCupid and set up some dates for when I get back to Chicago. And this girl was online, and so I chatted and I was like, oh, hey, how's it going? She's like, oh, hey, Bam yeah. I was just going to write you, but I didn't know what to say. That's Tanya's voice, obviously. And I was like, hello always works. 3 hours later, we have like talked about like everything in the world.
Yeah.
And I spent the next 2 weeks that I was in North Carolina glued to my phone, like texting her. And everybody's telling me, oh, well, look at what happened to you since you moved to the city. You're just on your phone. I'm like, oh my God, but it's this girl. I've got to
You don't
talk to her.
understand, right?
So I think that Annie's friend and my friends can understand because at least we married them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's
Yeah.
not like it was just
Yeah.
a flash in the pan. Like,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
our wives. We had children with them. We're still together. They're our partners in life. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It's been 17 years, and it's like, oh my God, we've changed so much since then. But like, it was, we used to spend. I used to sleep 2, 3 hours a day. Like that's all I
Wow.
slept. So I would like go to work and, then pick up the bar and do all the how it is. And then go home and sleep, and then wake up and go hang out with her. And it was worth every bit.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And God, we were so young, man.
Oh yeah.
I
That's
look
so
back and I was
wild.
like, I was a kid.
Yeah, man.
You know?
23, you're so young. You don't even realize how young you really are in 23.
No, right. You don't.
Yeah.
You think you know some, and I mean, you could know some stuff, but like I didn't. Like there's some
Yeah.
23 that do. I don't. I didn't. But going back to your question about like how that shaped me parenting, it's been really, it's been, I mean, I knew parenting was going to be challenging regardless, I mean,
Hmm.
regardless of where you do it. But I think not being in my culture, surrounded by my customs and the people that I thought were going to be around me when I was parenting, that not having that has been, I've had to rely a lot on her family.
Hmm.
And I also realized, like, no matter how Venezuelan I am, my kids are just not going to be.
Right.
They're just
Right.
not going to
Right.
be. So
Right.
I've had to understand that there's a few things that happen here and things that are normal here, and I have to, come to terms that I may have not done it myself, may not be like my thing, but
Hmm.
there's some parenting styles that like I have had to adopt. Um, there's a comedian that explains it really well in a joke that says like Hispanic moms don't give statistics.
Hmm.
They give you examples, and so because like my wife and their family, they're very stereotypical of what you see in movies of like.
Hmm.
That's at least what I saw in movies. Like, hey, honey, are you okay? Why are you upset? Let's talk. That's not the way it goes where I come from. Like, there's no talking. No, you're gonna shut up and you're gonna do. And
Right.
there's no.
Right.
It's very very much like it was here in the '60s. Like
Hmm.
my growing up experiences match more her parents than hers.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting.
So I've had to understand, okay, honey, we need to talk. Let's go sit down. And because if not, then what you find is the stereotypical guy just screaming. And
Yeah.
I've had to just understand that we are a different culture, and they are in their culture, and I have to um don't have to agree with everything, and I
Right.
don't have to forget mine. And got to pick and choose the things that I think would be better if we do it my way, and the things that if I do it my way, they will never understand. So,
Right.
you know, that's a it's a it sounds really cool, but it's not. It's like it takes forever.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just the unlearning of all of the junk that you like grew up with.
Hmm.
I think it's got to take a lifetime. I mean, I feel like I really started doing more of that work becoming a parent. And there was something that's kind of cathartic about like when losing both of my parents,
Hmm.
because having to reconcile their humanity now that they're
Hmm.
gone, it's kind of easier. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
they're not putting any new information into that. I could just like, that chapter is closed. And now we can process and move forward. This is what
I
I
agree.
did like. This is what I didn't like. Oh, wow. I can kind of see like how stressful it must have been to. My parents moved down from New York to North Carolina when I was 2, but my dad moved a year earlier. He had his own business in New York,
Hmm.
and he left that, moved to North Carolina ahead of us, and so he like got a job and had to get everything set up while my mom is raising a 1 year old and a 5 year old and trying to sell our house and
That's
all of
tough.
that.
That's tough.
Holy crap, man. Like, I have so much empathy for how stressful
Hmm.
she was, because she was such a great mom, but I can't imagine how hard that was. Like, how stressed out I would have been, the biggest asshole if I
You
was going
you
through that.
But
Be-
you would have done it just the way she did. That's the other thing. It's like you would have done it. You would have been an asshole. I'm sure she was at
I'm
one
sure
point.
she was. I don't
Yeah.
remember,
Right.
but I mean, I feel like it's imprinted on me. But
Hmm.
yeah, but I can give her so much grace. I can give so
Hmm.
much grace to that period of time and my parents, because yes, like moving to the suburbs when Tristan was 4 months old, I had a fucking meltdown, Javier. I was the one that had said like, oh, maybe like we would have a yard and all that. That could be nice. But then it started happening
Yeah.
because we moved 10 minutes away from Tanya's parents, because we were both working full time and they were going to watch him 3 days a week so we could work full time. We rearranged our whole lives with our days off
Right.
and stuff. I had a fucking meltdown. I was a nightmare. Like, I will admit it. I apologize to Tanya publicly at this moment. And I
Uh,
was horrible. I mean, to the point that I was telling her how she ruined my life, and that I'm not even joking. She ruined my life. She's making me move to the suburbs, which was
you're
mostly
right.
my idea initially. I was the one that was like, hey, maybe we should do this. And she was like, oh, yeah, maybe we should. And yeah, it was stressful as all hell. And like, thank God we only had one kid. Thank God he was so little. And Lord knows I was not ready to quit drinking then. Holy shit, no. I'm like, oh man, it was really rough stuff. But
Yeah.
whew,
Yeah.
well,
I
yeah,
yeah. I'm typically the one that doesn't. I mean, I'm don't stress out. I
yeah,
try not to. I mean, and if I do, I like try to keep it in. Like I don't like to project that because that one is she worries enough for both of us.
right,
So
right.
yeah, just she does a great job worrying. You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally say that I'm the worrier, but I am the one that turns into a panic tornado once it happens. And
Right.
because I just try to do too many things. So speaking of doing too many things, like, what you started your business, and I think that one of the things that's really cool about what you do, which now makes complete sense knowing that you were a bartender for all
Yeah.
these years and just knowing how personable you are is really the foundation of what you're doing is building a community. The
Hmm.
artists that you're involving with and just the ones that you're always posting. I love your Instagram feed because I always love checking out somebody playing some sick stuff. I've
Yeah.
like gotten to know Zach Watson a little bit through you, who's like this amazing bass player in Australia
Yeah.
and just a delightful human being. But what do you think was kind of the heart and soul behind how you decided to grow your business from you to a community?
I think that happened by accident, to be honest with you. It was not by design. I have some sort of kind of like a midlife crisis kind of
Mm,
deal. Like at the time I was very not unhappy. I was just questioning so much. My mom had just passed away, and you know how you get into this like really philosophical, like what the heck, like who am I, what am I doing, why do I have 2 feet, all this questioning. So like it was, I questioned everything, and I was questioning a lot of stuff, like what do I really want to do, and I'm like 36, 37, whatever. I'm like, what do I really want to do? And I knew it had to do with wood. I love carpentry,
mm-hmm.
and I knew it had to do with music. And I was like, maybe I should go work for a music make like some company like that makes music stuff. So I started looking online. I'm like, there are like really weird towns, and like I don't feel like moving over there. And I'm like, man, this is. And at the time, I was playing a small band here in New York. And I just built a cabinet for me because I couldn't find anything in the market that I was like, yep, that's it. Like I really am digging that one. So I made my own, and I was like, I ended up, it sounded amazing, and it looked questionable, but it sounded amazing. Actually, Wick and I play at a gig together.
Mm-hmm.
Not together, I mean, same gig. Um, they're way better than my band was. And it was funny. And I had that, the first prototype I had, it was a 410. And he had his old rig there too, and it was just like, it was amazing to hear the difference and being able to pick on like, oh wow, like I have something really special here. And from there it just started, people started coming up like, hey man, can you make me one, can you build me one, can you build me one? And from like one after the other, and my relentless iteration to get something that not only sounded good but also looked good,
Mm-hmm.
for my own thing. I was like, you know what? There is a financial case to be made here, and I started looking at the Small Business Association here locally, and it grew from. That's how it all started. Like now, how it became more of a community. I just think that it's just musicians being musicians.
Right.
I think the nature of Insta, not so much Facebook, but which is the same company, but like the nature of people that gravitate towards Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
um, is it's a much more community building than the ones that are. It seems to me, at least, the ones that
Yeah.
gravitate towards Facebook. I feel more discouraged when I go to Facebook
Yeah.
than when I go to Instagram. Like when I go to Instagram, I feel encouraged. I feel like I mean, this right here that I just joined. If you have a
Yeah.
chance, that so we met in South Carolina through, and another artist is a phenomenal artist. He used to be a bass player for David Bowie, and I mean, phenomenal guy. Love him, and he's the example of building a community. Tim Lefebvre. So the same thing. It's like I found out that people that are here on Instagram and they like you,
Mm-hmm.
they're not to tear you apart like they would on other platforms. So
Yeah.
it kind of built itself on like almost like a bass musician um, community of supporting each other. So like if the people that I like are the people that like our stuff, and then we
Mm-hmm.
support each other, and they DM me about questions about like, hey, how do you export stuff? Like how do you, when you sell across the pond, like how do you do it?
Right.
Or I've asked similar questions like, hey, I'm working on this pedal. Like, how do you get rid of this stupid sound that I can't get rid of? And what I found is that there's the Instagram community actually is, it's a community. And
Yeah.
the bass player community is amazing. Like, I have yet to come across one asshole.
That's
One.
awesome. That's awesome.
And they have plenty of reasons to be assholes to my brand, because we're a relatively new brand. We, there's brands out there that have been, making stuff longer I've been alive. So there's people have a valid point to say, you guys are too new to be having the voice that you have. But
Right.
no, I mean, it's been super accommodating. It's been amazing. All about the bass.
I think that is really one of the things that's been so fun about Instagram, because I didn't really do Instagram for a long time because
Mm-hmm.
there was Facebook and I just wasn't really on social media for a long time, actively, I guess I should say. And there's just such fun stuff that you get to do with on Instagram. There's something that's so fun about how you can touch
Yep.
celebrities in a different way. We're big foodies. And so like one
Mm-hmm.
of our favorite shows is Top Chef. And so Padma Lakshmi, the host of Top Chef, is
No
one of my
way.
favorites. I love Padma so much. And nothing is more fun than when you like
That's a
comment
great
on
show.
something and she likes your comment, like, oh my God, Padma liked something that I said. Oh, I feel so special and validated now. But it really has been fun, and I feel like the drumming community is so great. There's a cat in Winston Salem, Tim
Yeah.
Roberts, that's
Oh
got three
yeah.
different companies, and I think I told you about him.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Reverie drum, stack ring percussion. He just started doing mod cymbals, and he has the dopest group of drummers that are using his stuff. And from following a couple of drummers that he's, shared a clip from, then
Mm-hmm.
I found all these other little companies of, guys that are making cool percussion stuff. And there's just such a dope
There.
community.
I
Who's
agree.
somebody that's really blown your mind that you found on Instagram? Like, who's making killer content that you love watching right now?
Um. Oh, that's a great question. There's this guy named Ian Allison, Ian Martin Allison, and
Write it
he
down.
is, yeah, Ian Martin Allison. He is a killer bassist and really cool. Actually, I just spoke with him tonight. Killer bassist, but super sweet dude, genuine dude. And like his Instagram posts are very encouraging. He's the type of guy that makes people, when at least this is what I get, is like when I see him play, I want to play.
Right. Yeah.
And he makes it friendly. He makes it accessible. He makes it attainable. Like it feels attainable.
Mm-hmm.
Like when sometimes you see like some dude like doing some like incredible chops, and you're like, oh shit, I can't do that.
You're like, nah,
Oh,
man, that's not my jam.
right,
Awesome for you. That can't.
right, exactly. Like
That's not what
great
I
that
do.
you can play with all 17 fingers. That's great. But this guy makes it. He's incredible. Don't get me wrong. He's an incredible bassist, but he makes it feel attainable. You're like, oh shit, if I actually work hard and I practice and I practice and I get this, like I can do that. And no, not only I can do that, you can DM him and he's gonna get back to you.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna be like, yeah, well, try this. Hey, such and such, you asked me this question. So he's very inspiring to me because although I'm outgoing, and I'm talkative. It's different doing that than actually posting something that comes across as genuine. Like I'm not. I was getting there, but last year was really rough,
Right.
and I'm kind of like shy about that right now. So I'm like I'm hesitating. I just gotta cut my own bullshit. I just gotta do it. But he's one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely for sure.
What do you think really, what was some of the biggest changes that you felt you personally went through with quarantine? Like aside from the business, what was some of the What was one of like the good things and one of the bad things that you kind of faced during quarantine?
Um, quarantine didn't really bother me. Like my life did not change.
Yeah, I feel you.
Um, like I just went to work and I worked, and the only thing that changed was like how much market we actually reached in 2020. We were like a couple $1,000s off the projection, and but other than that, like my life did not change. Like I wore a mask from the beginning. I stay away from people from the beginning. I supported small business by ordering takeout and things like that. And I try to make it as normal as possible. And I'm like I said, I'm super optimistic person. Like it doesn't matter. I'm more optimistic than that I'm ever pessimistic.
Yeah, same.
I don't know. I don't know why, but it's just maybe I'm just crazy. Um, um,
Crazy to be optimistic? No, man. You just know what's up.
right. Like I feel like it's so dumb to be worrying about so much stuff and so dumb to just just it's all gonna be okay. Like at some
Yeah.
point in time, it's all gonna be okay. Maybe I'm just fortunate. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through some really tough shit, but
Yeah.
but what really made it hard for me last year is that we had a little boy and he passed away, and that was just devastating. That was
Yeah.
absolutely the hardest thing I've ever gone through for sure. I've seen my mom die, who was a phenomenal friend. Not only a great mom, she was my friend. Like she was legit my friend. But just seeing my son, just being born and then just die, it's just that that made 2020 officially the worst year ever. And like it felt like we were like, oh yeah, we're pregnant and all these things. Like this is so exciting, and like something positive coming out of this awful year. But then like how it all ended up, it's just tough. That was just tough.
I think that's the pain that not everybody will ever understand, and certainly
Hmm.
not from your perspective. How's that processing going for you?
Um, there's days that you're like, why this and why that? But again, it's like I don't, it's not for me to ask the why. I think
Hmm.
it's for me to find the because. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, and I very. It sounds weird, but I'm very happy that I got to meet him. Like
Yeah.
I'm glad that I would much rather know the pain than not know it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah,
So I
I
would,
can feel that.
yeah. So like for me to spend the few hours that I spend with them, and it gives me peace. What really bothers me is just like all the memory that you have, like the tragic thing, right? But
Right.
um, he definitely brought a different kind of love that I would have never had if he had not been born. So I don't know. That brings me a lot of closure. Like yeah, I get through knowing that I'm like we shared a handful of hours, and the love that I felt for him was just great, and I
Yeah.
am super super happy that I got the chance to experience that. Otherwise I would have never experienced it. That it may not make sense for other people, or it makes sense to me today.
I think that that's just such healing things to for other parents that have gone through that, because I feel like so often, especially for us growing up, people didn't talk about this stuff. They didn't talk about
Mhm.
miscarriages or any kind of stuff like that. And it was just
They
this
still
like,
don't.
yeah, it's still very taboo. So honestly, thank you so much for sharing that. And
Mhm.
one thing that I've said for a long time is don't judge another soul's journey. And I which I think a lot of people put on that. And I think that the way that you're speaking of him is so beautiful, and that you got to share that. What an incredible little angel to
Mm-hmm.
show up, flood you with this love, and then
Mm-hmm.
have to give you this very difficult lesson for your whole family. Because I mean, your girls are old enough that they're going to remember. They're not
Oh, they
babies,
will, for
you
sure.
know? And so, yeah, that's really powerful stuff, man. And I think that he's definitely given you some kind of gift that you'll feel more as time goes on too, you know,
Yeah.
because if I think that if we've learned anything from losing our moms, and me, my dad, is that love doesn't stop.
No.
Love is forever. And I remember my father saying that after my mom had passed, and he, you know, because that's his girl, and had been together for 40 years. And I just remember him telling me that, you know, he never, when he got remarried, he's like, I'm never going to stop loving your mom. I will
Right.
always love your mom. And I mean, that's the love that you and your son will always share.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, while I'm sorry that of course, that it had to be so short, I think that your perspective on it just goes to show what a huge, loving, amazing heart you have.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, I hope he felt some of that. You know, yeah,
He did.
I hope he did. Like, there's two, there's two songs. I'm very musical, so like, you
Yeah.
know, there's two songs that like kill me every time I hear them, and it's "Before You Go" by Louis Capaldi, and which the story has nothing to do. It's about mental health,
Hmm.
and that is so important, and we judge people so hardly on mental health, but it's incredibly important.
Yeah.
Um, but that's the song that like when I hear it, because I do feel like I wish there was something I could have said and could have done. Like it was really hard for me. I'm not a physician, so I like there was
Right.
nothing for me to do other than just sit there and just you know just pray for him. Honestly, I'm being that
Yeah.
serious. Just praying for him and making sure and just tell him I love him. That's basically how that the only thing I could do. And the other song is Broken Halos by, um, gosh, what's his name? It's
I can't
phenomenal guy.
remember.
Yeah. Um, gosh, he's one of my favorite artists, and his wife has an amazing voice too. You know what I'm talking about. Gosh, what's his
I know
name?
the song.
Yeah.
Somebody chime in. Who knows it? Get on Google.
Ah,
It's killing us.
Broken Halos. Hold on. Let me type.
Yeah, you're like, give me that.
Google knows.
Google knows everything.
Yeah, Broken Halos. There you go. Chris Stapleton.
Yes. Yes. Chris
Yeah,
Stapleton.
yeah, and it's true. It's like the wise belong to the. There you go. Thank you. She's good. She's a keeper.
I'm totally going to keep her. Good looking
Yeah,
out, too.
that's awesome. I try to laugh as much as I can about it.
Yeah.
Than anything else. Like it's you know it's
Well,
tough. It's never gonna go away.
no, and I think that even what you just said about it is that, you know, you're not a physician, and all you could do is love him. Like, I'm not going to lie, man, that even just repeating that back, that's fucking me up. Because isn't that really all that matters in life?
Yeah,
Is just, whew, hold on, is just loving each other. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a big believer in, um, I don't know if you've ever read A Course in Miracles. I'm just getting into it.
Mm,
But one of the things I remember learning about it long before I started reading it was there's only two emotions. There's love and there's fear, and every other emotion stems from either love or fear.
mm-hmm.
And I think that that's so powerful that that much love can be communicated and transferred that quickly. And of course he felt that, you know? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know that from raising two baby girls. They know that. They know when you're in a good mood, they know when you're in a bad mood. And
Yeah,
he knew, and I think that that's so beautiful. And I hope you still talk about him a lot. Obviously, you're talking
I
about
do.
it with me right now, and I think that that's one of the ways that you keep love alive. I talk about my parents, especially to my kids, because they're never going to know them. They're always just going to
Right.
be a photograph. And I think it's just so important to always talk about them. And because I'm a very spiritual person, and yeah, I think that that's everybody's still with us. You know, there
Mm-hmm.
time and space is just an illusion that our minds have made up to make sense of this game that we're all playing, being in these
Right.
bodies. And I think that, yeah,
No, I'm with you.
man,
I agree. That's how I feel. Like I talk about him all the time because um well, I'm a talkative person, and I there's I've kind of becoming like the honey badger. Like I just don't give a damn. You know, like I really don't. So yeah. So like I want um those 15 hours of his life to never end, and
yeah,
that's my job. That's what I'm gonna do, and as long as my memory serves me, he'll be he'll be alive. You know. But I think that what is really what I found out is the like women go through so much crap that we don't,
right,
um, and I'm not. I mean, totally believe in equality of the the genders, and I don't want to get into too political because I don't know. I'm not very well um, read in everybody's situations, but I'm very respectful of everybody's identification in the gender and all that stuff. So,
right,
but in my traditional thinking, like we males don't go through the things that the females I know go through,
right,
and I'm not. I, I I hate that. Like I see, like my wife, right? So, she's gone through a ton of stuff, and um, it's kind of like how women perceive each other and how um, I don't know the talks that happen and how it's kind of like you're supposed to get over it, and I don't know that
right.
I don't know that you ever get over anything like this, and um, I don't know, like the conversation I talk that I have with the dudes that I have good relationship with are really in depth, and they're very empathetic, and they'll go as long as I want them to go, and I don't feel the judgment, or I don't feel the pressure of being okay.
Mm,
Than I see my wife going through, and it's just talk about mental health and spiritual health and physical health. Like I that I think I have it easy when it comes to that because for some reason my dudes are the dudes that I hang out with, the ones I do life with, very receptive about that pain.
right.
I don't know if my wife has found the same thing. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there's phenomenal people around us,
Of
absolutely.
course.
But that to me, it's just I completely thought that it was going to be the opposite.
I was just gonna say, it seems like it would totally be the opposite. And I remember just my experience of when with Tanya having our kids, because she gave birth to both of our boys, and I
Mhm.
used to jokingly say like I'm not woman enough to do that, but no, I literally mean that. Like it's not in me to do that, and now we have evidence that that's not in me because I chose not to do it. But I
No,
never,
I'm with
I
you.
never respected every mother more
Hmm.
than after Tanya gave birth to our first son, because just watching her go through that and just the act, just everything that they go through. And
Hmm.
I mean, your wife is who I thought of course, immediately when
Hmm.
you were telling me this story, because I'm such an empathetic person. I'm just like, holy shit, like
Hmm.
I just want to go hug Annie right now. I've never even met her. And
Yeah.
but that was one of the things that was so hard for me when we first had kids, was that I felt like there wasn't any resources. Like there wasn't anybody that I felt like I could necessarily talk to, which is interesting because I feel like the men in my life have been amazing dealing with grief
Mm-hmm.
and death with me. But the birth of children, I just feel like guys just feel like it, I don't know, there just wasn't any support for that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great that as you went through losing your son, that your dudes were there for you. And it's just such an interesting perspective too, that how the different communities work so different, how they're so different, where Annie might have had the same feeling where when she was having a baby and everything was shiny and perfect,
Right.
all the
Yeah.
ladies were
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we are.
Absolutely.
But it must be like that. Like what's the expression where it's like, well, I don't want to get the stink of that on me. It's like the women don't want to deal with any of the stuff that has to do with their baby not being healthy. So we're just not going to talk about that. Let's just move on
Yeah.
because it is something
Yeah.
that I'm fucking terrified of.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas dudes, death or a manly hunter idea, quote unquote, that maybe that's something that men are just so much more accustomed to. But when it's like birth and, oh, I'm feeling really emotional because it's really hard becoming a new parent, they're like,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
polar opposites.
That makes sense. I mean, it that does have some validity. I think. On the opposite side, with my two girls were born, and they were, well, it's funny. It's like every pregnancy has been something. It's like the first one, Bella was born early, but she was born 34 weeks early. So she was still considered full term.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a big deal. I mean, looking back, we were lucky as hell. But,
Right.
at the time, just ignorance is it's such a blessing. So that was, and then Ariana, my wife had some other complications afterwards, and I was like, and that's why I didn't want to have a third baby, because I'm like, I'm being serious. Like I told her, either we're gonna end up with a dead wife, or we're gonna end up with a dead kid, or both.
Wow.
I don't want any of them.
Wow.
And talking about fear, that was,
Yeah.
but this happened, and it happened, but it is what it is. It happened. And why it happened? Because people can get pregnant and bad shit happens. That's why it happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I for some reason, the same thing with like social media is another thing with women that man, we don't go through that shit. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much stuff that is like this level of perfection has to be achieved. And it's like, it's all over. Like, like, don't read that crap. Don't pay attention to it. Like it's fake.
Yeah.
It's so fake. She literally just woke up and probably farted a couple times, just like you. Like it's okay.
Yeah, don't worry. Hers are stinky after she eats beef too. Well, I remember very specifically there's a big influencer entrepreneur lady that I was following a lot at the beginning of last year when I was getting hyped and like kind of wanting to first get these ideas of like having a podcast, and I'm gonna go do my own thing. And as I'm thinking about that, I was following this woman, and her feed always looked great. She's a big business person, very motivational.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something about the post about her and her husband and how it's so great. Oh, I love them. Oh, my partner. And
My best friend. He's
their date
amazing.
nights. Yeah. And like, Tanya is my fucking girl. I love her. She is my favorite person that walks the planet. But I don't talk about her like that.
Mm.
In the same way, like you ever just got to get a whiff of something, and then fast forward 4 or 5 months into quarantine, oh look, they're getting a divorce. It's like, yeah, because you felt like you just had to project this perfection, this fake perfection, because there's so much pressure. And how much stress was that putting on their marriage and that putting on their relationship, which is one of the downsides of being big and popular and having a lot of followers, is you need to show up as this person, or you feel this need to show up as this person. And it's been really interesting following her and her husband, who's also in the public eye, as they're kind of coming out of this journey. And it's been interesting seeing them kind of having to deal with the reality of it. And there's the flip side to that coin, whereas someone who I've always respected, Dr. Wayne Dyer, I don't know if you've ever read any of his books, but again, a guy who he talked about when him and his wife split up. They've got like 8 kids together. He talked about his leukemia stuff. There was, granted, it's not on social media, but there was zero pretense. This is my life. This is the stuff that I'm going through. And yeah, it's just such a mind fuck for women to have to deal with that perfection stuff. And that's,
dude, it's constant. It's like I don't understand. Like nowadays, I remember when I first walked in the Target, like 20 years ago or something like that. To what it is today. Like you walk in, and that's just one of the many brands. Like you walk in and like at least like the bombardment of merchandise is still towards the female audience. But then you see the images have come down a lot. Not come down. It's like they have become more realistic.
Yeah, they're expanded. Like, yeah.
Right. Like, and that I wouldn't imagine. Like so Bella looks more brown than Ariana. Ariana looks blonde. So, and like even the Disney characters and things like there's just so much crap that is like I never thought anything about freaking Superman being white. Like it didn't cross my mind. But it's like for some reason it's like it's a lot more tangible. Like having long hair, being skinny, having this pretty dress, and like it's for some reason it's a constant bombardment. And I don't know. That's my philosophical topic, and I'll shut up.
Dude, I felt like such an oddball. I mean, I was a tomboy playing baseball and all that stuff when I was a kid, and I've spent my entire adult life being a dirty rock drummer. So I just. Like as I was starting to kind of find my way into, well, how do you do podcasts? How do you do entrepreneur? I'm not like any of those chicks. I don't like pink. I don't like gold. I remember being in high school and I realized that I didn't have girl handwriting. Like all of the girls that I was friends with had this handwriting that was like kind of loopy, like more, I don't know, round. And we played Dungeons and Dragons. I hung out with my brother and his friends. And so I had my 0.5 millimeter mechanical pencil, little teeny tiny mechanical pencil. And I wrote very neatly and small and like a boy. I was told. And I remember getting told that I walked like a boy from the time that I was in middle school. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Right. Like, how do you need me to walk?
Yeah. But that's the kind of crap that you deal with as a girl, that if you don't conform to that sector of reality and, take the blue pill or take the pink pill, I guess I should say.
Take the pink pill.
Take the pink pill. Yeah. You're just going to.
You said something about being different, and that kind of was kind of going back to one of your first questions. That was one of my biggest fears. It's like, how am I going to be different in the marketplace? And one of the people that hesitate the most in my life were actually always asking me like, why are you gonna do this? Like, there's like 100 different brands and they've been doing this forever. Like, do we really need another brand to do this? Like, do we really need, like, why? And finding those differences was like watch me, you're gonna see why kind of deal. Like finding those differences and then being able to talk to people and be like, yeah, we like those differences. And then, which is another male expression, but like just realizing that you can You can do it. Why you? Because you have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
And I use the expression having the proverbial body part
Right,
that gives
right.
you encouragement, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Um, it were you going to be a drummer? Well, because I have the balls to do what some other people are going to be terrified in the corner that they
Mhm.
wish they could do, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
That's some of the best advice that anybody can get as they're starting off. Is what makes you different is what
It's you,
is good, and that is an asset. And
and it's
now,
you. It's
just
all you.
yeah, and just now have the guts to follow it, because
Mhm.
whether it's starting a business or starting a podcast, anybody can do it, right?
Mhm.
Anybody can start a business, anybody can start a podcast.
But they won't.
Get get 2 episodes in, get 4 iterations in, wait till you're on your 8th iteration when your wife
Mhm.
finally says that looks like the one in the store. Get on your 5th episode,
Right.
realize you got 6 more booked, keep going. That's the difference, is
Yeah.
who's gonna be different enough and then have the guts to keep going.
Right. That I remember the time it was at a small business association meeting. There was this cat that they brought. His professional nickname was like the Disney dude. So he like sold, basically he would go from small business to small business association giving talks, and he was like super super cheesy guy, like, but he worked for Disney for years, and he got to a very high level in Disney, and he spoke about how Disney got you with emotions from the moment that you decide to buy the tickets until you leave the parks, and then you want to come back because of all of those emotions.
Right.
But and I remember, because I was really struggling, like, why me, why me, why
Right,
me,
right.
why me? And I asked him that question. I was like, hey, I just have a stupid question. And he said, all right, go ahead. And I said, like, I'm struggling with, like, why me? Why should I do this? Why? And, like, I know I have a good product, but why?
Right.
And he gave me that answer, like, straight up. He's like, he looked at me. He's like, you know why? Because you have the balls to do it, and they don't. And I was like, no, but seriously, why?
Yeah, I mean, I know I've got
Yeah.
balls. I mean,
And
you've
the
got
guy,
balls, I've got balls.
right? The guy goes like, no, I don't think you understand. Like, they're gonna, and then he like broke it down, and I was like, oh shit, I really needed to hear that. Like, there's probably hundreds of people out there that are trying to do something similar, but they cannot overcome the fear of failing, and then realizing the failing is just yet another iteration of success. It
Yeah.
just disguises something else. And then it's your job to define your own success. Like, do you want to be Oprah? You want to have your own job, your own show as Oprah, and then you'll be successful when you dethrone Oprah, or are you successful the moment that you upload? I know that feeling because I had it too. Like, when you go through Anchor and you put the file in there and you upload, and then you go to freaking, you know, uh, Spotify, and
Yeah.
you pick out, and then you see your name, and it's like, oh shit, I got a 600 views or 100 views. Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
So it's depending on how you want to do it, but getting over that fear, I think, um, I don't know where I was going with that, but getting over that fear was cool.
Dude, I think that is a perfect place to end this, because otherwise we're going to be on here for 3 hours, and
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm
because that's
sorry.
how you and I
I know
do.
I'm talkative.
No, man, I think from the minute we first talked, it's always been like that. But I want to end on thanking you again for helping me get over the fear
Mhm.
of doing this. I tell you, I the stars aligned, God shined on us, and whatever inspired you that day to be like, "Hey, you want to talk on my show?" And I just remember thinking, like, I'm not a bass player. Like, why does he want to talk to me? And even like,
'Cause You're a badass.
why does he
You're a
want to talk
badass
to me?
drummer.
Why does he want to talk to me about marketing stuff? Do I know anything about that? Then we got off the phone. I was like, oh, I guess I kind of know some stuff. But hey, man, thanks for Thanks for making this happen, because this
Same
wouldn't
here.
be happening if you hadn't encouraged me. So thank you for being a big influence and helping me
Stop
get
it.
over that fear. I'm
Stop it.
serious. You take that. You take that compliment. You're a ticket.
No, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me, and let's do it again. I'm sure we'll find more things to talk about. I can talk with you forever. So
Yeah,
anytime.
man. Oh, yeah. And I think I just need to like have a weekly pep talk from you.
There you go.
Javier, tell me it's gonna be okay.
Likewise, likewise.
Yeah, I always got your back, brother. Real quick, where can everybody find you online?
Just go to sinobasamp.com and just buy the nicest badass bass cabinets that you can find in the market for
Hell yeah.
sure.
And soon effects pedals.
Fake pedals, cables, and soon enough amplifiers too. So we'll get there.
Hell yeah. All
Yeah.
right, brother. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thanks for getting getting emotionally vulnerable and naked with us. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
I love you, man.
Absolutely.
You have a good night.
Same here. Have a good night.
Later.
Bye bye.